The focus of this workout is strictly strength, as the name says. There's no cardio, and then I want the reps to be quite low and the exercises to be very challenging so that we are promoting muscle growth and muscle recruitment. So for today, as our first strength workout, I'll be recommending 3 sets with 8 reps each. So you'll do each exercise 8 times and you'll do 3 rounds of that. You want to go heavy enough that you are totally fatigued at the end of those 8 reps and you couldn't squeeze out 10. Later on, once you get a little bit more used to the heavy lifting and more challenging exercises, then we'll reduce even further to 5 repetitions. But for today, we'll do 8. You can make your own judgment. If you feel like you can do 5 and go heavier because you've been strength training on your own, then go ahead, but just stay true to yourself and don't injure yourself. So we'll start off with a general warm-up, and then I'm going to focus on wrists because body weight strength training puts a lot of strain on wrists, so you need to have really healthy, strong wrists in order to sustain all this body weight training. Let me take my watch off here. So just getting your joints warmed up, we're going to start with some arm swings. And my ceiling is low here, but you're going to swing one arm up, one arm back. Just getting those shoulders working. Moving into some torso rotations, so twisting. Into your hips, knees, and ankles. You're going to move into some squats. Keep your feet flat on the floor. Pull the floor apart with your feet and just sit down and back. Stand up. Sit down and back. Stand up. Now I really want you to work deeper into the squat. I'm going to emphasize range of motion more than I would for some of the other classes I teach. So from here you can go even lower than you might normally. Trying to keep your chest up nice and tall, feet need to stay flat on the floor, but really stretching out those hips at the bottom. Give a little extra pause at the bottom here. All right, so wherever your bottom is, you're going to rock back and forth, pressing into those ankles. And then stand it up, moving into some rotation, stepping as though you're coming over a hurdle. Stay tall. And other way. Excellent. So like I said before, we're going to move into your wrists a little more intensely, a little more focused than we normally would in this warm-up. Just going to make sure you can see my elbows here. Okay. So to start out with, you're going to be kneeling on the floor and you're going to work into your forearms. How's that? Okay. So what you want to do is have your hands flat on the floor, and then you're just going to lift up and back down. And you're just resisting that motion so that you can feel the muscles in your forearm here firing. Going for up to 20 of these. So the more you resist with those fingers, the more intense it'll be. You can choose how hard you want to make it. All right, so your forearm should be on fire now. So what you want to do is have all your fingers pressing down into the ground nice and flat. If you look at my elbow pits, my arms are straight. I'm going to open them up so my elbow pits are facing forward. Rotate so they face back, forward, and back. Now that's creepy, right? So do what works for you. Make sure those fingers stay flat on the floor. I'm going to tell you in many exercises to keep your elbow pits facing forward. So that is this position. That's an important position to learn. One more. Okay. Place your hands out to the side. Elbow pits facing forward. You're going to rock one way, rock the other. Again, your fingers are flat on that floor. From here, you're going to take your hands, point your fingers back towards you. Elbow pits forward and you're rocking back. Like this. All right, and then what you're going to do is have your fingers pointing forward, leaning forward into it. So you're here, and you're leaning forward. Tolerable discomfort is what we're looking for. Last one here is the worst one. All right, so you're on the backs of your hands. Place those hands flat on the floor, rotate your elbow pits forward, keep your arms straight, and you're rocking back. So backs of my hands, elbow pits forward, rocking back. And this one you'll probably find quite intense. So if your hands are back here, it's easier. If your hands are further forward, it's tougher, depending on your mobility. So you decide where you put those hands. All right, nice work. Just shake those out. And then we're gonna get into our workout. So our first round, you can take it a little bit easier, but then sets 2 and 3, try to push it a bit harder. Have fun, let me know how it goes. All right, so this is a tutorial on sit downs. Sit downs are a great way for building up glute and hip strength and also getting you strong enough so that you can do pistol squats. So I'll show you a few variations of sit downs. Depending on your strength level, you may start on the easier version or on the more challenging version. So the first thing you will need is something to sit down on. I have a coffee table here. You could use steps or your couch. It's better if you have a firm surface to sit down on. It's a lot easier than if you have a harder surface. The taller the surface is, the easier it'll be. So this is a fairly low coffee bench, so it'll be a little bit more challenging. If I had a chair that was higher up, it would be easier. So the first level of sit downs would be on a higher up chair where my leg didn't even get to 90 degrees, maybe where I come to here. I'm going to show you with the coffee table, but play around with it a bit if you need a higher chair. So first version is body weight. You're going to stand on one leg. That foot stays flat on the floor and you're just going to control yourself. Sit down and then stand up. Now the first version, maybe you're not strong enough to stand up just using one leg. You're going to tap your other foot down just gently to help you get up. So you're going to control on the way down, tap the other leg to get up. So You would repeat that for the set number of reps and then do it on the other side, trying to keep everything in alignment. So with your free leg, you're not crossing over or behind and you're not swinging out wildly. So if you can do that, no problem. You can do up to 10 reps without failure. You're ready for level 2. Level 2, you're on one leg. You're gonna sit down, stand up, try not to fall over, sit down, everything's in nice alignment, stand up, all right? So this one, I'm not touching with that free leg and keeping my alignment really good. From there, put on a backpack. Imagine you just gained some weight, all right? So this will motivate you maybe not to gain weight during this quarantine. So this is a great way to add intensity to your workouts, is just putting a backpack on and you can load it up as much as you want. So from here, again, you're just sitting down on that leg and standing back up, load it up as you need to. And then final version, which I'm not going to demo with a backpack because I'll probably not be successful, would be to add some power to it. So if you can do the backpack version 10 times without failure, then all you're going to do is sit down and then you're going to explode up as high as you can, sit down, explode up. And do that with as much weight as you can still explode off of that bottom position. So those are sit downs. All right, so this is the step down. This is a progression from the step up, which we did in our last class. And this one challenges the stability a bit more. So if you're feeling comfortable with the one we did last class, then you can switch to this version. So what you want to do is you're actually going to start at the top of your movement. You're going to keep this toe flexed. Keep this foot flat on your bench or whatever you're using. You're going to lower down and then back up. Try not to use this leg at all. And with this knee, what you want to do is make sure that it tracks directly over top of your toe and doesn't collapse inward. If you're really good at these, you can use a higher step or you can add weight to your back. Okay, so this is an inverted row and this is a regression from the pull-ups I showed last week. So if you don't have a pull-up bar or if you're not strong enough to do the negatives that I showed you last week, then this is a good alternative. What you need are a couple of chairs that are nice and firm and they're not going to tip over. These ones are a little bit low, so if you have a bit higher chairs, that would be even better. And I just have some cross-country ski poles here. Just make sure whatever you use, it can hold your whole body weight. So from here, what I'm going to do is bend my knees and lift my hips up, squeezing my glutes. I'm going to use my arms to pull my body off the ground, bringing my chest up to the bar and back down. Pulling up and back down. If you're feeling strong, straighten your legs, still squeezing your glutes, moving your whole body at the same time, pulling up and back down, up and back down. So this is a quick tutorial on pull-ups, how to build up to pull-ups if you're not quite doing full pull-ups yet. There are two ways you can do pull-up. It's with overhand or with underhand. Now traditionally underhand is called a chin-up, overhand is called a pull-up. Narrower grip is generally easier. Wider grip is more challenging and gets more into your lats. I'm going to show you with the underhand grip today. So if you're at the point where you can almost do a pull-up but you can't quite get there, then a great way to build up to your pull-up is with a jumping one. So what you would do is grab onto your bar, jump up, just slowly control it all the way down. Make sure you control all the way to the bottom. Don't touch your feet down until you're fully straight. Then you come back to your start position, jump up, control all the way down. So that is probably the best way to learn how to do pull-ups. Now, if you're not quite to that point, then what you can do is grab some tubing for assistance. This is just to show you how to set up your tubing. So you set it up so it's there, and then you can hook it around your foot. But this is really flimsy tubing, so it's not really going to help me very much, or it's going to snap. But you just hold it there, pull up, and then come back down, and it just takes some body weight off of you. The other version, which you can use if you can't quite jump up to your bar, is to use a chair. And again, this is just, you're here, step off, slowly lower yourself down, and then all you do is step back on, slowly lower yourself down. Same rules. Make sure you slow it all the way down to the bottom. All right, have fun. All right, so I am going to introduce archer push-ups. These are an excellent variation on push-ups if you're interested in building towards one arm push-up strength. If you have one arm that's stronger than the other as well, by overloading the one side, you can help to even out some of that difference in strength from one side to the other. I'm going to demo for my knees because I find these quite challenging, but you may be strong enough to go from your toes. So what you want to do is you're going to have your one arm tucked in at your side, and the other arm is basically going to be straight, just a soft bend in the elbow. So if I'm here, one arm out, one arm tucked in, I'm going to press up and back down, tap my chest down, press up and back down. If I show you this way. So what you want to do, so it's this arm that's doing all the work. This arm is just helping out a little bit. I'm going to press up, back down, just touch that chest down. Oof. So my left arm here is getting a huge workout. All right, one more demo. Maybe I'll show this view. So you're here, one arm out, one arm tucked in. I always start my first rep on the ground just to get the hand positioning figured out. I'm gonna press up, and then from here just tap that chest down, but I'm not actually lying on the ground. That would be cheating. Ooh. And to demo other side, one arm out, other arm as straight as you can, just a soft bend in the elbow so you don't hurt your elbow. Pressing up, chest down, up. Excellent. Now, variation on that to make it a bit easier. With this free hand, the more you bend it, the more it's going to be able to assist you. So if you're just starting to progress beyond a standard push-up, you can start with that arm more bent and then slowly work it out to straighter. So give it a shot. Let me know how it goes. So this is an inverted press from the knees. This is a bit easier than what I showed last week. So knees are on the chair. You're going to lower your head down to the ground and press back up, nice and controlled. All right, so this is an inverted press. I'll show you a couple of different options. This is for your shoulders. It is quite intense and you need to have pretty good wrist mobility to do this without pain. So just pay attention, warm up your wrists really well beforehand. So the easier version would be here. What you want to do is pike up so that you're as upside down as you can. And then you're just going to come down, lower your head towards the ground, and back up. And when you come down, try to keep your elbows in. Try not to let them flare out to the side. So if I can show you this way, hips up to the ceiling, you're coming down, and then back up. All right, so if you can do that and you're feeling good about it, then grab an elevated surface. This will enable you to get more upside down, hips up to the ceiling, same thing, coming down and back up, down and back up. It is quite hard. last version would be handstand push-ups, which I'm not going to show you today, but will be in a future episode. Okay, this next one is a Superman with an overhead press. So I just have some tubing here. It's going to be my resistance. If you don't have tubing, what you can do is grab a piece of rope and then just pull apart on it as hard as you can throughout the exercise. It'll be a very similar approximation. Another thing you can do is to hold dumbbells in your hands. You probably won't be able to do more than 5 pounds for this exercise, but pulling apart the rope or the tubing, it's going to feel a bit different than the dumbbells, so it's a more effective version. So this is a Superman with an overhead press. What you want to do is take your tubing and you're going to pull it right apart, so it's elbow width apart here. You're in your Superman position. Hold, keep pulling it apart up top, and then bring it back. So you're keeping that tension on it the whole time. The heavier your tubing, the tougher this will be. And the main key here is that you don't let your hands come together. You need to keep them apart that whole time. And if you shift, show my body position here. So I'm lifting everything up. Superman, pull apart, reach up overhead, keep pulling apart, and then bring it back. It should be very intense. If it's not, then you need to use a harder tubing or just pull harder apart on whatever sort of substance you're using.